No.
Good evening, everybody. I have 6 p.m. It is February 9th, and I'm going to call this meeting of the Anacortes City Council to order. I note that all of council members are present except for our missing Ward 1 representative and Mr. McDougall. Clerk, please note that for the record. Would you all join me in a pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Is there any motion to excuse anyone?
Mayor Walters?
Ms. Moulton?
I move to excuse Councilmember McDougall.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. If there is no objection, we will note Councilmember McDougall is excused. Hearing none, he is excused. All right, let's move on now to some announcements and committee reports. I'm going to call Chief Harris up to the podium to introduce our first item. And Chief, you can go ahead and maximize that on the screen, if you might, so that it appears full screen. Perfect. Thank you. Chief, go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Mayor Walters, members of council. So Marine 29 is our current rescue boat and is approximately 30 years old. Its aged outboard has been requiring frequent repairs to stay in service. With the build time of our new boat, we expect Marine 29 to remain in service through at least the summer of 2027. Last fall, Chief Byer made a presentation to the Marine Trades Commission in the hopes of securing some grant funding to extend the life of Marine 29. Well, that project didn't meet the criteria of that grant. It did catch the attention of North Harbor Diesel, and they reached out to us with a generous donation offer of a new outboard motor and the parts and labor to install it. The total of this donation was over $19,000. The installation was completed last month and the boat is now in service, and I believe has run at least one emergency call since going into service. But tonight we'd like to recognize and thank North Harbor Diesel for this generous gift that will allow the AFD to continue to serve our marine, our maritime and island communities. And tonight representing North Harbor is Diane Chonka and Josh Blankenship. If I could get Chief Byer and Mayor Walters down to receive the check.
And thank you very much to North Harbor Diesel.
Also tonight, we'd like to recognize another local industry partner, HF Sinclair, who has also offered a generous donation. Back in 2024, we were successful in receiving a port security grant for $700,000 for a new fireboat. But due to the cost that rose during the lengthy grant process, the $700,000 wasn't enough to cover the final bid. To stay under that grant amount, we chose to remove the forward-looking infrared camera, or FLIR, from the spec with the hopes of finding additional funding to eventually add it back. FLIR technology is critical for emergency operations as it allows crews to see in the darkness and through fog or smoky conditions that help with navigation and search operations. And again, Chief Byer had learned of the HF Sinclair community giving request and applied for the FLIR funding through that program. The application was successful, and HF Sinclair has offered a donation of $25,000 to add the FLIR back to our new fireboat. This amount requires council approval for acceptance, and we are asking you to accept that donation tonight. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
So council, under our donations code, we do need a motion and a vote to approve this donation.
Mayor Walters,
Mr. Pantini.
with great thanks to HF Sinclair, I move that we approve acceptance of the donation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the donation from HF Sinclair of $25,000 through for a new FLIR camera. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The ayes have it, and the motion to accept the donation is approved.
And tonight, representing HF Sinclair, we have Andrea Petrick, AJ Tupper, and Steve Lang.
All right, we'll let those little advertisements sit there on the bench for the duration of this meeting. Thank you to both of you. We really benefit here in Anacortes from the generosity of all of the people who donate their time, the businesses that donate money and equipment. We are very appreciative, and we don't have a pattern of doing the jumbo size checks, but I'm sure glad that we had some available. We will definitely try to recognize our donors in the future. Thank you very much. All right, Council, another few announcements, and then we'll get to committee reports. Do want to remind everybody that tomorrow is Election Day, so you have until 8 p.m. To either get your ballot postmarked and make sure that it actually does get a postmark, or put it in the drop boxes at the library or Skyline Beach Club. And there's more information on the election at skagitcounty.net/elections. Another reminder about the downtown streetscapes plan that we are engaged in. We have a survey out there. It's available on our website. It's available through that QR code that you see on the screen or the lengthy web address that you see on the screen. But if you go to the city website and go to the planning department's page or click the projects menu, you'll find that planning effort. We do encourage everybody to take that survey, and we've been repeating this announcement to make sure that we get that information out. Similarly, we are accepting applications for long-term rehabilitation, maintenance, and economic development projects for our community development block grant. Proposals need to benefit low to moderate income citizens, and there's more information on the website at anacorteswa.gov/1655. If you think you might have a project that is consistent with those criteria. This is usually money that is given out to the housing authority or the family center. Those types of entities are eligible and usually have qualifying projects, but look at the website if you have more questions and reach out if you need to. I wanted to say a couple of words about the 12th and Commercial Avenue intersection, which has gotten a lot of feedback recently. So importantly, the intersection is not yet complete. There are still major components that need to be done. The traffic signals that are there are going to be replaced with modern traffic signals because they are apparently some of the oldest traffic signals in the state. The truck aprons still need to be built, and the curbs, some of which are shown here on this drawing, are yet to be installed, and there will be additional striping. There also is the problem, sorry, I paused prematurely there. There is also the problem, there's the problem of, okay, that was throwing me there. There is the problem of the hump at 11th Street, and we have asked Public Works to investigate a fix for that. That is the result of subsurface material that was discovered during construction. And so we are going to probably need to bring to you a contract amendment to get that fixed, but we're not going to leave that alone. We will resolve that problem as part of this project. There are certainly other conversations to be had around the project, including about parking. Our goal right now is to finish out the contract, and it may be several weeks or months before the poles that the traffic lights are on are available to us. They are on back order. So that is, I think, an encapsulation of what we know. There's more information on the website. Go to anacorteswa.gov and click on the projects menu to get to that. But if you have further feedback, feel free. If we need a longer presentation, council, we can arrange one from Public Works. Next slide. I also wanted to announce that I have made a reappointment of Shua Mu to a 5-year term on the Housing Authority Board. That 5-year term began January 1. Her appointment begins today, and so it continues through December 31, 2030. That appointment does not require council confirmation. There are many other opportunities for people to serve our community, though, through a board or commission. Some of those people may be here in the audience tonight wanting to serve on the city council, and unfortunately, not all of you can be selected. So if you are not, I hope you will still check out this webpage, anacorteswa.gov/160, for more information about the boards and commissions that we have available. Something I think will fit everybody's interest and level of activity. And I think, there will be more opportunities in the future. If you look on the website and find that those seats are all taken, there will be vacancies in the future. So please don't hesitate to look that up. We do have current openings, especially for the Planning Commission and the Historic Preservation Board. Next slide, please. And now, Council, let's take some committee reports. Housing, Affordability, Community Services, and Planning met this evening. Who wants to report on that committee?
Mayor Walters.
Ms. Moulton.
Thank you. The newly reformed with new membership Planning Committee / Housing Affordability and Community Services Committee, affectionately known as HACS, met tonight, and mainly we concentrated on planning because the HACS committee generally meets during the day because we have attendance very often by service providers from organizations such as the Family Center, Salvation Army, Community Action, et cetera. So we scheduled those meetings. We're having the HACS meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m. And so at planning today, we just sort of introduced ourselves and talked about some fees that the city doesn't charge for work that is done out of house. So for the main example is that stormwater plan review is not done in-house by staff unless it is for disturbance of ground under 2,000 square feet. That's done in-house. But anything larger, so like a single family home or a duplex or a larger development, that requires currently the service of a consultant. And each one of those reviews, the stormwater plan review, costs in the neighborhood of $1,200. And the first two of those, the city has not been charging permit applicants for. So last year, it was about $80,000 that the city spent on those. And not a whole lot of that was reimbursed because a lot of those were first and second reviews. So the proposal that will be coming forward is for the city to be able to recoup those costs and have the permit applicant pay for those rather than the city paying for that money, because it really is a substantial amount. So that will be coming forward once we have more data on the costs. And in these challenging economic times, it's really important, of course, that we do recoup our costs. And also, honestly, finding that when something is done for free, that the permit applicants don't always do their best work in submitting it. So if there's a cost involved, the product that is submitted will likely be better based on human nature and experience. So we talked about that at length. And then we also talked about the hearing examiner fees that are incurred when there are different appeals to the hearing examiner, and that's an out-of-house expense also. So staff is gathering information on what those cost for different things. For example, administrative appeals, code enforcement appeals, hearings. The hearing examiner charges about $285 an hour. So kind of honing in on what those expenses really are, and then how the city can recoup those costs also. So we don't have a whole lot of data on that yet, but we will have more soon. And then we talked about tomorrow, our first HACS meeting. And again, that will sort of be introductory and kind of figuring out our plan going forward. So that was it, but I may have forgotten things. But anyway, it was Mr. Young and Mr. Courier and myself and Planning Manager Libby Grage and Planning Director John Coleman. So it was the five of us this evening. Thanks.
Thank you. Anything to add to that? Anyone? No? All right. We also had a Port City Liaison Committee meeting last Tuesday. Would anyone like to report on that one? Ms.
Mayor
Cleland
Walters.
McGrath.
Thank you. So on February 3rd, we had a meeting, Mr. Fantini and myself were the council members present. We had kind of an update about the Olson building and what is kind of the next steps with that in relation to marine supply. The port is working through that. We have our museum director, Mr. Lunsford, from the historical preservation component, making sure, I think that the Historical Preservation Board was able to tour marine supply, I think about a week prior, and just making sure that our museum resources are available to document that building so that it will live on in whatever way it is. We also talked about the importance of coordinating letters of support for various issues between the port and the city. It just really helps to advocate for state funds in that manner, whether it's for an event center, it's for a gathering space at the end of 9th Street, or of various other kind of issues that we all are affected by. We got a bit of an update when it comes to the Northwest Basin, just kind of what, as the event center project kind of keeps moving forward, we're at 30%, we're starting to move towards 60%, what that looks like in the relation of the entire area of the Northwest Basin, and just kind of got an update as to what the port's plans are, kind of strategizing for utilizing the other vacant spaces. And the other big thing that we need at this time is the fact that our interlocal agreement for kind of organizing and cleaning up the mess that was 9th Street and Market Street. There was a lot of lot line adjustments and easements and whatnot that had overlapped over many decades and were kind of messy. So they're getting cleaned up, and hopefully we will be receiving some money from the port for those improvements. It'll be 4 separate checks. It'll allow us to move the giraffe. We'll take responsibility. The 2 giraffe are very important to our community. We will have our Parks Department move it, and then some other checks just to kind of clean up the values and make sure that those projects can move forward and those street improvements can happen.
Thank you. I've never gotten so many phone calls as when the giraffes were blown over in the wind. So we will take good care of the giraffes. Are there any other announcements from council at this time?
Mayor Walters.
Mr. Young.
Thank you. I'm hoping most of you know February 14th is Valentine's Day. So it's a great opportunity to show your love. And there's a group of people pushing and hoping that on February 14th, you come downtown with your love, whether that's kids, whether it's your dog, whether it's your spouse, whomever and whatever, holding hands. That's the goal. And to shop and eat and to have a good time. But it's really all about supporting our downtown and all of the things that are happening there. But given our world is where it is, we just felt that it would be a great thing to see some people just showing love, and that's what it's all about. So on this February 14th, if you get a chance, come on downtown. You see people holding hands. That's what it will be about. Just a wonderful chance for love to be out front, and we're calling it Love Out Loud. Thank you.
Mayor Walters.
Thank you. Mr. Fantini.
I just wanted to quickly say that Anacortes Community Theater opened their 61st season this past weekend. They're showing the Book of Will. Plenty of seats and tickets available. We're lucky that we have an organization like that has survived 60 plus years. Very rare for a community theater. They also have brand new seats in the theater now. So very comfortable for those of you that haven't attended in a while. And I would encourage you to check out a show there.
Thank you. Any other announcements or advertisements? No? Okay. All right. Thank you very much. We'll move on now to public comment. I don't have anybody signed up in advance, and it doesn't look like I have anyone raising their hand online. Is anyone else in the audience wanting to provide public comment at this time? No. Seeing none, we'll move on. Council, we have 5 items on the consent agenda.
Mayor Walters.
Mr. Young.
I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented. No discussions allowed on the consent agenda, so we'll go ahead and take the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The ayes have it, and the consent agenda is approved. Our next item is a public hearing on the vacation of a portion of an alleyway. And our city attorney, Ms. Swetnam, will present this item.
Thank you, Mayor Walters and members of council, members of the audience. Sorry, I have to get used to this new microphone placement here. So tonight I am presenting information on a petition to vacate an area of unopened alleyway filed by Strandberg Construction and ordinance 5021, which was in your packet, which if council is inclined to move forward with the vacation, would need to be adopted to carry out the vacation. So the background on this, vacations are governed by AMC Chapter 1250. And on December 15th, council adopted Resolution 3159, which scheduled the public hearing for tonight. The vacation is part of a application for a unit lot long subdivision, which is next on your agenda. And the overall request is that 2,400 square feet of unopened alley right-of-way be vacated in exchange for deeding the city a forested area, a public access easement, and payment of $5,000 to remove future hazard trees. So maps. So this is the area, all of these materials were in your packet, but this is the area requested to be vacated. You can see it's part of a block. This is 17th Street. And this portion of the alleyway is, I believe, still in use. And this area between these 10 lots is what they've requested be vacated. This is surveyed. You can see that the square footage is 2,407 square feet. In exchange for that vacation, which is this little area up here, which I'm going to show you in more detail on the next map, the applicant is proposing to give to the city by quitclaim deed this area down here that's hatched. And that's roughly 2.75 acres. My understanding from talking with Ms. Pollard is that a significant portion of this area is encumbered by critical areas. It is also adjacent to the Anacortes community forest land. So here is an aerial map that shows the overlay of the proposed project. And so in addition to that area that we just looked at on the previous map, the applicant is also proposing to grant to the city a public access easement. So just to sort of orient us to where we are in the city, this is 17th Street here at the top of the map. And this road here is that road that goes up through Rock Ridge up the hill. So the applicant is proposing to put in this driveway that's shared by these properties. And so the public access easement would go south along this driveway and then go kind of at the end of the driveway, keep going south to connect to this area here, which would be the deeded parcel that connects to the ACFL. So the idea is the city would build the trail from the end of the driveway down to the ACFL, but that it would allow pedestrians to go from 17th Street to then connect to the ACFL. So the municipal code at section 1250.060 directs that council needs to consider a number of factors when evaluating a petition for vacation. And those factors are whether a change of use or vacation of the street or alley will provide a significant benefit to the public, whether the street or alley is neither currently required for public use or public access, nor anticipated to be needed for public use or access in the future. Whether the substitution of a new and different public way would be more useful to the public. Whether possible future public uses may require the right-of-way, and whether there were objections to the proposed vacation made. So just sort of stepping through these, and I believe all of these are addressed in the proposed findings of fact in the ordinance that's in your packet. But staff evaluated all of these factors and provided information to council on them. And the evaluation of the significant benefit to the public is that in addition to the compensation of the critical area adjacent to the forest land and the public trail, it provides connectivity that isn't there currently from 17th Street to the ACFL system. And those are the types of public benefits that council have found persuasive in the past. It is not currently used for public right-of-way. It's unopened alleyway. It's never been used as a way to get through that area, and Public Works did not see that it was likely to be needed in the future. You can see from the previous map. Sorry, I should have put a map on that slide too. You can see that from the previous map that this proposal creates kind of a new access driveway to get to the other properties in this development. And I just want to point out the area to be vacated. You can see these red lines that shows the alleyway. So it's this area between the edge of the driveway and these two red lines. Again, not currently used for anything. I believe there is one public comment and it was in support of the vacation, but tonight is a public hearing, so members of the public can provide input that they have to council. So I wanted to address compensation. Section 1250-100 requires payment for the full fair market value of the area to be vacated. That's because this has been held as right-of-way for 25 years or more. But 1250-110 allows for conveyance of real property for the full fair market value as alternative compensation. So rather than writing a check, petitioner can deed property over to the city, provided the property that they're deeding to the city it compensates the city for the full value of the area to be vacated. 1250-120 says that for vacations totaling less than 5,000 square feet, as here, the Public Works Director establishes the value of the area to be vacated based on assessed values of the surrounding properties. So the area to be vacated, as we mentioned, is approximately 2,400 square feet. So it allows for the assessment of the value to be made by the Public Works Director. Former Public Works Director, Mr. Rayum, did that assessment and came up with $24,936 as the value of that area to be vacated. He also made the determination that the proposed compensation is significantly more valuable than the area proposed to be vacated. So as we said, the proposed compensation consists of three things. One is a quitclaim deed for 2.75 acres of land adjacent to the ACFL, the easement for the public access along the proposed driveway with an ability to connect to the trail system, payment of that $5,000 for the Parks Department to deal with future hazard trees that may come up in the native growth protection easement area between the new homes and the ACFL. And then again, the Public Works Director determined that the value of that compensation was significantly more than what was proposed to be vacated. So those are the comments that I have. Staff is supportive of this proposal. If council is inclined to grant the vacation and move forward with it, you have an ordinance in your packet, and council could certainly make a motion to approve that ordinance. But I'm going to step out of the way. I'm not sure if the applicant is going to make comments. Not sure. Okay, maybe not. But it is a public hearing, and so I will step out of the way for the public to speak.
All right, thank you, Ms. Swetnam, for that presentation. I'll now go ahead and open the public hearing. Anybody that wishes to make comments on this vacation, step forward now. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Nobody online either. Yeah, if there's no objection, I will close the public hearing. Hearing none, the public hearing is closed. Council, the remaining item here is to make a decision on the proposed vacation and adoption or not of the ordinance.
Mayor Walters?
Ms. Moulton.
Thank you. So the math shows that 2,400 square feet would be vacated by the city and about 120,000 square feet would be deeded to the city, including a wetland and the opportunity to build an access point for pedestrians to get to the forest lands from 17th Street, which doesn't currently exist on that section, which I see is a great benefit to the neighborhood. So I am in favor of this and interested to hear if anyone else has opinions. Okay.
Mayor Walters,
Mr. Fantini.
sorry. Thank you very much. Yeah, for me, I think this is on paper kind of a very easy thing to support. We're basically looking at 2,400 square feet of unused alleyway that's never been used before for 2.75 acres of wetlands, plus public trail access, plus $5,000. Sounds like a significant more value than it gives up. I did notice that there were some concerns from some neighbors around parking, around updated traffic. I reviewed the traffic report in there. I didn't see anything that jumped out at me that was scary or gave me cause for concern around traffic improvements or increased traffic. The other thing is, I think, we as a community should kind of start to expect to see some more projects like this. And I think that for me, it's one of those situations where, and I heard this somewhere before, we shouldn't expect massive change in any neighborhood, but we should expect some change in most neighborhoods. And if we really want to house as many people as we all tend to say we want to, then these are some necessary decisions to make. So I'm also in favor of moving forward with this.
Ms. Walters.
Mr. Young.
Thank you. No, I'm agreeing with my colleague. I think at the end of the day, we're continuing with some development, which is much needed. We talk about it, everything we're trying to do, but also the benefit of that is that we're also increasing the forest lands, which is a wonderful thing for one of the things that makes our city and area so beautiful and one of the attractions about it. So I'm very happy about that and just wanted to voice my support for this as well. Ordinarily, I do think that in such an exchange, it really does look good. So thank you. All right, Mayor Walters.
Mr. Young.
Thank you. I move we approve this as presented. I'm turning back my page to the verbiage, so.
There is not a recommended
Okay,
motion in
well,
the
great.
packet.
Apologies for that.
Make a motion that we approve this vacation
And the associated ordinance.
and the associated ordinance. Anything else, Mr. Walters? All right, thank you.
We have a motion to approve the vacation and the associated ordinance.
Second.
And we have a motion and a second to approve the vacation and the associated ordinance. Any further discussion on this item?
Mayor Walters.
Ms. Cleland McGrath.
I just think that it's important, this is what I was trying to go back to make sure that the vacation ordinance actually does specify a 10-foot walk designated pathway along to access from 17th up to the forest lands. I just think that that's a really important, I think that's an important thing to actually have on paper as people, as future homeowners start to buy up these homes, which is great. You know, we want to make sure that it's in perpetuity, that it's designated and somewhere on the deed. So that point is included in this ordinance.
Any further discussion? All right, this is an ordinance. If there's no further discussion, I'll proceed to the vote. This will be a roll call vote. Mr. Franciac, please take a vote on the question of approval of the vacation and the associated ordinance.
Mr. Fantini,
Aye.
Mr. Courier,
Yes.
Mr. Young,
Yes.
Ms. Cleland McGrath.
Yes.
Ms. Moulton.
Yes.
Mayor, the ayes are 5, the nays are 0.
The ayes have it and the ordinance is approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next item is the associated subdivision. And Ms. Pollard from the Planning Department will present this item.
Thank you, Mayor, council members, members of the public. I'm here to present a few slides to summarize the project that you just saw, which is a unit lot subdivision and cottage development. Applicant was Strandberg Construction. The proposal includes 21 lots, which includes 1 existing single-family residence and 20 proposed cottages with critical area tracts. The zone is R2A, and under the file ULS-2025-001 includes the unit lot long subdivision, the critical areas permitted alteration, cottage housing site plan review, internal pedestrian access design, and all of these were processed under the optional consolidated application process and integrated environmental review. So SEPA determination of non-significance was issued, and it's on file with Ecology. We just saw this image, so we don't need to linger here, but just noting that it is surrounded on 2 sides, mainly by the ACFL. So one part of the proposal is the unit lot subdivision, and sometimes this can be confused. It is a different design as a typical long plat. Unit lot subdivisions allow for fee simple ownership. Individual lots are not required to conform to the typical development standards for the typical residential lot, as they are designed to be just around the private property. Easements and CC&Rs provide for the perpetual maintenance of common areas, shared access, etc. And unit lot subdivisions are allowed in our AMC for developments including duplexes, triplexes, cottages, and townhouses. Moving on to kind of the focus on the cottage development standards. Some aspects of these regulations under the AMC will be reviewed when the individual building permits come in, such as the maximum 1,200 square feet of the cottage units themselves, the maximum height of 25 feet, covered porches, that kind of thing. What was specifically reviewed under the site plan review and unit lot subdivision included the common open space areas, private open space areas, parking location, access, and circulation. So here is a close-up view of the proposed cottage unit development. The orientation has shifted, so 17th Street is now on the left side of the screen. There are 3 clusters. Green, red, and blue represent the different cottage clusters. Each has their own detached single-car garage, which are the alternating colors, so the deep green, bright green, red, red, blue, blue. Those are designated garages that will be part of the unit lot, so fee simple ownership. And then there's highlighted areas that include both the common open spaces shared between each cluster as well as the private open spaces. So for example, the orange areas you see are the common open spaces for each cluster of cottages. We have the porch requirements in this kind of pink, which is required to face the common open space. And we've got green areas that represent the private open space. parking is in the area, primarily surface parking, primarily in the area alongside the shared driveway access easement. There are a couple parking spaces on the driveway accesses to the garage and emergency turnaround. All of this was reviewed to meet the requirements of the cottage development. The critical areas permit proposal on the, if we focus on first on the left side, the solid yellow line shows a full buffer from the wetland delineated ordinary high water mark. The dashed area is a code allowed buffer reduction based off of some development standards that the proposal will have to abide by, such as ensuring that light pollution doesn't encroach into the buffer area, that things are somewhat designated or even with a little fence delineated so that encroachment into the buffer doesn't happen. There were other examples of this requirement in the staff report. In addition to that buffer reduction was a buffer averaging proposal. So moving into the second image in the middle, the dashed or the hashed red area here highlights where there was proposed buffer averaging. And this was to make way for cottages as well as ensuring that the existing single-family residence, if ever needing to be rebuilt, has a place to do so further away from the critical area. And then the image on the right just shows the benefit of that small section of buffer averaging, which provides two, maybe even the third cottage to be able to fit within the development area. So the Planning Commission did hold the open record pre-decision public hearing, and they have recommended approval with conditions to the City Council based upon the application materials, the findings of fact, and conclusions. If there are nothing, I don't have anything else to say. It is closed record, so there's not public comment at this time, but I'm available to clarify anything that might need it for you via the staff report.
Council, before we get to discussion, do you have any questions?
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Thank you. No, I just really wanted to take a moment to thank you for the depth of your presentation, the clarity of where we're and what we're talking about, all of the amenities, the things about it. I really appreciate that because what it does, it allows even the layperson, because you deal with this every single day in depth and in detail, to the constituents that are out in the audience to be able to follow along as we, traverse all of the issues associated with it. And I just thought it's important to say thank you because I know you guys put a lot of work in it and we appreciate it. And I think there was a joke once before about having maps. At one point, we were just describing things, but I think when Mayor Walters was Councilman Walters, that was part of the issue of making sure we had maps to be clear, and it became such a wonderful part about what you do. But really, just to say thank you to the departments for working as hard as you do. It is being noticed. Thank you.
Mayor Walters.
Mr. Fantini.
Just a quick question around parking. So I saw garages. It looks like there's one garage for each cottage. And then those additional spaces are all also counted as parking. Is that?
Yes, and the applicant also, I didn't call attention to it, but and it's kind of hard to make sense of it, but on the far left screen is additional parking that they will be constructing within the right of way. So they'll be widening the existing street to provide even more parking.
And none of that will be public parking, right? It's all for the homeowners?
Well, the portion in the public right of way will remain public,
be
but
public.
the on-site is all only for guests and residents of the development.
Great, thank you.
Mayor Walters.
Ms. Moulton.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Fantini, for bringing up that parking on the street. I have heard concerns in the past about the neighborhood, that road 17th Street that goes up and around, and people taking it as a shortcut or to avoid ferry traffic and speeding. So I don't know if widening the road, are there concerns that that would lead to increased speeds? Usually we don't try to move in that direction that I'm aware of.
I think it's just a clarification on the widening is just to put the parking in. It's not extending the drive aisle or, you know, the aisles of traffic. It's just allowing for on-street parking in a more formal design.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Council, any other questions? And if not, any discussion?
Just a point of record,
Mr. Courier.
I was on the planning commission that recommended this, and so I still am in favor of this, but just putting that on record.
And to be clear,
Council
you are
person.
no longer on the
I am
plan.
no longer on the planning commission. Clarify that.
Good, thank you. Mr. Young.
All right, Mayor Walters, hearing no other further objections, I move that the council adopt the findings of fact and conclusions of law contained in the staff report dated December 5th, 2025. Further, I move that the council approve the preliminary plat for the local 17-unit lot subdivision, including the cottage development site plan, wetland buffer width averaging, and the alternative pedestrian circulation design, subject to all conditions listed in the staff report.
Mayor Walters, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the staff report conditions and the proposed preliminary plat. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing no discussion, we'll move to the vote. The vote is on the motion to approve the preliminary plat and the findings of fact and conclusions of law contained in the staff report. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say no. The ayes have it and the motion is approved. Thank you, Ms. Pollard.
Thank you.
We'll give you just a second there. And we are now on to the main event. HR Director Kendall Moyle is coming up to the podium to present our next item, which is the appointment process related to the Council Ward 1 vacancy.
All right, thank
Ms.
you.
Moyle.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and members of the audience. This presentation outlines the process that City Council will follow to fill Ward 1 vacancy. I'll briefly review the timeline, tonight's actions, and what to expect at upcoming meetings so the process is clear for Council, applicants, and the public. The Ward 1 vacancy was created on January 1st when Council member Ryan Walters resigned in order to assume the office of mayor. Under state law, Council has 90 days to fill the vacancy by appointment. The individual appointed will serve until the next regular election, which is scheduled for fall 2027. The city publicly advertised the Ward 1 vacancy and accepted applications through noon on February 3rd, 2026. A total of 11 applicants submitted public applications and 2 applicants later withdrew. All application materials were provided to Council for review. Tonight's meeting is focused on candidate statements. Each applicant will provide a 3-minute statement in open session. Following the statements, Council may choose to enter executive session to evaluate the qualifications of candidates for appointment to elective office. At the conclusion of tonight's meeting, Council will determine which candidates will move forward in the process. At the February 17th meeting, Council will conduct final interviews and make the appointment in open session. Council will deliberate and vote publicly. The selected candidate is expected to be sworn in at the following Council meeting on February 23rd. There are a few additional considerations to note. Public comment on individual applicants will not be taken during the meetings. However, written public comment may be submitted in advance. Council may also modify the process at any time. This evening, council is asked to listen to the candidate statements and determine which applicants will advance to the February 17th meeting. One suggested approach is to make a motion and vote on each candidate. Council will also need to decide how interviews will be conducted at the next meeting, including whether to submit questions in advance through the mayor and whether follow-up questions will be allowed, along with any applicable time limits. And with that, the following applicants will be providing statements tonight, and each applicant will have 3 minutes to address council. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Our first applicant, Cammie Bratton, is participating via Zoom. So yes, please hold on just a moment. Our city clerk treasurer is going to maximize no, I see him walking away. No, come back to the podium. Please maximize the Zoom window so that we can
Please
see.
maximize the screen so my face is as big as possible.
Yes, that is what I was getting at. Thank you.
Mayor Walters.
Mr. Fantini.
Apologies for the interruption. Before we get started, I just wondered if anybody else would find it appropriate. We have not, as a council, as individuals, really let the candidates know what we're looking for in our next council member. And I feel like as the appointment process looks great, I think that might be something that could be helpful if anyone else felt that was appropriate to maybe just take 30 to 60 seconds from each of us to let us know what we're looking for.
Council, would you like to do that at this point?
Yes.
There's no objection. We'll proceed with that. Mr. Fantini, it sounds like you might be prepared to offer your first.
I said
Your
30 to
statement
60
first.
seconds, so
Yeah.
I'll keep it short.
I'll hold you to it.
So one of the things that I'm looking for is one, fiscal awareness. We're obviously in a really tough fiscal time. I'm looking for some fiscal awareness. I'm also looking for independent judgment, someone who is willing to have their own strong voice, but also willing to make decisions as a group. And then the last thing that I'm kind of interested in is voting record. And I don't mean whether you vote Democrat or Republican, but that you vote in our local elections, in our special elections. I think it shows a level of interest in the city and what's going on here.
Thank you, Mr. Fantini. Is anyone else interested in providing some initial comment? 30 to 60 seconds. Mr. Courier.
Mayor Walters. I think what I'm looking for, I think we have a great group of candidates, which is awesome. I'm looking for people that have shown some meaningful community involvement. That's important to me. Strong business acumen and financial awareness. This person is going to be on the finance committee, and I think we're dealing with budgetary constraints and dealing with things that are of that nature. So having an awareness of that is important to me. I also feel like it's important that somebody is civically involved as far as voting locally. Again, I'm not concerned with who people vote for as long as they're at this level. It's a nonpartisan position, but that they're engaged. And I'm also looking for someone to bring a unique perspective and unique perspective to this group of people that challenges our thought process as well as supports the whole synergy that's happening here. So those are all things that are of interest to me.
Mayor Walters?
Mr. Young. 30 to 60 seconds.
I want to claw back my moments. One of the things that I'm looking for is someone that realizes that they are a public servant. And what I mean by that is that gift that we give to society and all of the people to make sure all voices are heard, all voices are at the table, even the ones that we may disagree with, because I fervently believe sometimes in having a different view in the prism we looked at life through, we may miss something. And so my goal has always been to look for that commonality and to ask myself, what am I missing in what you're saying? As I look through these candidates, we have some extraordinary people, truly. My hope is even if you're not selected at this moment, that you don't forget that our need for you to be in public service and to bring forward your ideas and thoughts are just as great after this and leading up to this. So that's what I'm looking for. We have some enormous thinkers here on council. Quite honestly, I believe it's one of the best council, and I'm gonna throw you in there with that. And but we really do have it. And so what I'm hoping as I look for each of you are those things of civic community and willingness to disagree, but not be disagreeable. Everything else after that is just semantic and trying to figure out where that fit is and what we need at this moment. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Cleland McGrath.
Mayor Walters, thank you. So I was kind of planning on providing my thoughts after we hear from the candidates, because I think they've prepared probably their words. So us throwing something out right now might make it more challenging for them just to go with it. So I say, all of you guys, please just go with the statements that you've prepared. I've heard a lot of folks, I've had a lot of folks ask me, like, what do you want in a council member? I don't think it's really what I want as a council member. I think we have to make the decision. But for me, I am looking for who will represent Ward 1 and that those neighborhoods the best. And so I'm looking for someone who kind of has the pulse of the neighborhood, has experience working in our community or experience in other communities that they can demonstrate will apply here with us. I think that, we've got a number of folks on here who have lived here for generations, and that's valuable. I also think it's been very valuable to have folks like Mr. Young and other people who have come from other places to have a fresh breath of fresh air. But what I'm looking for is, what are those skills and what are the passion that people have and interests to bring, to represent Ward 1 and all of the city, but specifically Ward 1. I think that that's an important component to choosing that next person.
Thank you. Ms. Moulton.
Well, thank you. I think everyone here has brought up some excellent points. And I am also feeling like after we hear from the applicants and we discuss their qualifications and we move people forward, that then is going to be a really good time for us to decide of more of what we want to see and the questions that we potentially want to ask next week. So I would agree with Ms. Cleland McGrath about bring what you brought and do that. I also love curiosity in people and a willingness to learn and to know what they know, but also be aware of what they don't know. And also, I think that engagement with staff and how council members engage with staff is really important, and using staff or asking staff as a resource, because they are so often the subject matter experts that help us make the decisions that we make and inform that, and to not be shy about that, and also leaning on other council members, and that knowing that we're all here for you and that we're all willing to share and to use us as a resource, and know that we're here for you. And I'm pretty confident saying that about every single one of us. And we all have different gifts and strengths. And so again, to think of someone who will complement and to complement the strengths that we have, and bring what bring yourself. Like, we're anxious to know who you are. Or I am. I think we all are. So, and thank you very much for the gutsiness that brought you here to this point. I know it's not easy, and I applaud you, and I'm super excited. I was hoping we'd have 5 people, and we have 10, and that is really great news for us and our community. So thank you. I'm looking forward to this, and I hope you are too.
All right. Thank you. Council, I apologize for jumping the gun there. Are you ready to now hear from the applicants?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So we'll begin again with Cammie Bratton.
Hi, just making sure you can hear me and not the party going on outside my hotel room right now.
Sounds good.
All right. Hi, I'm Cammie Bratton. 10 years ago, I moved to Anacortes with my husband and then 1-year-old, looking for a place to plant for probably the rest of my life. I have 3 kids now, 10, 8, and 5, and we couldn't be happier with our move. As I consider why I might want to be on the city council and why I think I'd be good at it, beyond the experience and my dedication to building a thriving community for myself and my children and my neighbors, I keep coming back to my general disposition as a person. I'm the 4th of 5 children, an Enneagram 9. That's the peacemaker, if you're unfamiliar with that particular personality test. I grew up conservative in a liberal community. I ended up a little bit more progressive in a conservative college. I find myself often being the person who, whether by necessity or otherwise, has to see all sides of a situation and is able to explain beyond the emotional. I recognize that decisions made on behalf of Anacortes balance inevitable tension between working waterfront and tourism, young families and aging retirees, long-term residents and transplant small businesses and massive ones, to say nothing of the requirements for maintaining healthy infrastructure, port activity, healthcare for everyone, the needs of now and the possibilities of the future, all within the realities of a finite budget. As I mentioned in my cover letter, through my nonprofit background, I'm familiar with some of the key issues facing affordable housing and basic needs policy. In my current work for my husband's running event company, I'm familiar with some of the more city-based functions like LTAC and permitting. As a writer, I'm intensely interested in the power of clear communication between parties that don't inherently understand each other. And I get excited about exercising creativity within the constraints of reality. Budgetary or otherwise, and learning about all the many things that I surely haven't even considered yet, which I imagine with the city council is a lot. I've served on councils at church, in my nonprofit experience, and informally among my friends and neighbors. In this position, I think a little bit about when I was in college, I did Model United Nations, and there was a quote I think about frequently. Diplomacy is telling someone to go to hell and helping them to look forward to the journey. Now, I won't go too far in comparing city politics to UN negotiations or telling anybody to go to hell, but I do recognize that this is a role that is as mundane as it is impactful, and it comes with the responsibility of explaining to people why they don't maybe get their way, or why the city as a whole must consider the needs of more than one person, more than one group of people, and more than just right now. I've been the beneficiary of the councils in this chamber that have done just that, and I'd be honored to be part of this public service going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for complying with our 3-minute time limit. That was excellent. I definitely like compliance with time limits in a council member. All right, we are proceeding in alphabetical order through the list by last name. So our next candidate is Sharon Brown. Is Sharon Brown here? I'm going to go ahead and assume she is not. So we will proceed to the third candidate on the list, Susanna Clements. Thank you. Please speak into the mic, and you have 3 minutes, and you can see by the timer on the podium how well you're doing.
We see it's a test. Good evening, Mayor Walters, members of City Council, community members, and fellow candidates. My name is Susanna Clements, and I'm honored to be here today as a candidate to represent Ward 1 within the Anacortes City Council. I have never not been a part of Anacortes community. Growing up here, specifically within Old Town, I had a amazing, wonderful childhood, riding my bike to the Anacortes Public Library for their summer reading programs, exploring the beaches along the Weemish Channel, and being a young patron at some of my favorite local restaurants and boutiques, some of which are still in business. I come from a generation and a family of leaders within Anacortes and Skagit County. My grandfather was a police officer here on the Anacortes Police Force and a U.S. Customs officer on the Washington State Ferries. My mother worked for the Port of Skagit County for decades. My father worked for the Port of Anacortes and started the Anacortes Football Booster Club, better known today as SABA. Throughout my citizenship of this community, I have been taught and take great pride in looking for ways to give back and leave things truly better than I found it. With this in mindset, I have held various executive board and committee chair positions within the Fidalgo Elementary School PTA, organizing, planning, and executing several fundraising and school enrichment programs. I have volunteered as a girls' basketball coach, both for Anacortes Parks and Recreation, as well as Anacortes School District through some of our elementary schools here in town. To this day, I share my love of basketball and athletics, teaching and coaching multiple teams throughout ARPD. In the summer and fall, you'll find me on the gridiron, not throwing beautiful spirals or tackling drills, but as the secretary of Anacortes Youth Football Board. This year-round position demands fiscal planning and accounting, fundraising, operational planning, and partnership across 23 other local municipalities who support youth football. Getting to build a program with over 120 families in Anacortes is not a small venture, but one that is highly rewarding. I've also served on the Anacortes School District Hall of Fame Committee. This was a group of folks here in Anacortes committed to revamping and preserving the historical achievements of students from Anacortes High School. Outside of my volunteering, I have built a career on servant leadership. I started my professional career with Nordstrom, and after 15 years traveling around our country, different communities, building relationships and learning from others, one consistent remained. It all starts and ends with the customer. In 2019, I took an opportunity and joined Amazon. Over the past 7 years, I've created many different programs through helping start up our Amazon's PPE store when COVID hit, as well as managing $450 million businesses within Amazon. And currently I support the Ring Home Security as a project manager, working budgets, getting to launch new countries and new continents, and bringing home security to those less fortunate and those in underserved communities. During my time at Amazon, my focus continued to be centered around leadership alignment, strategic planning, and delivering customer-focused results. I believe that these experiences have prepared me to serve our community or our customers with dedication, vision, and integrity. The city of Anacortes is on the precipice of change, something that equally excites and scares people. The word change, especially for residents who have deep roots in this community, can invoke big emotions. I, for one, am inspired, not because change is easy, because of what change can create. I truly believe.
Could I pause you there? Mr. Franciac, does blinking red mean time has expired? Yes. I'm sorry, your time has expired,
That's okay.
but thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Mr. Coleman is going to go to the podium and minimize the Zoom window, so we're not looking at the name of somebody else while a different candidate is speaking. All right, so thank you for that clarification. When the red light begins to blink, the time has expired. There's no solid red that we are waiting for. All right. I think that's good. Thank you, Mr. Coleman. All right, our next candidate is John Gasser. Come on up.
Can you hear me? Perfect. Mayor Walters, council members, it's nice to see you all again. And when I was first asked to get involved in this event, some of the people in my neighborhood actually cornered me and said, why don't you take a run at it and see what you can do?
I'm so sorry to interrupt, Mr. Gasser. I really am. Can people in the back hear? We've heard this it sounds like it's kind of so. I'm sorry.
Sorry about that. I'll speak
That's
more
okay.
into the mic. Is that better?
That's quite a bit better.
Okay.
Mr. Franciac, can you provide a little more time?
Yeah, reset. Thank you.
Reset to 3 minutes?
Sure.
Okay.
If you'll restart.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I was asked by some local folks, and we've been in this neighborhood now for a little over 4 years when my wife and I retired and moved here from Seattle. with a quick stint in Decatur Island when we decided living in Decatur Island during the winter was a little rough. Anyway, we landed here. We're in the Ward 1, and we're up on 4th and U. If you're familiar with that, it's up as you start up Cap Senti. So the question when I was considering this was, am I qualified to do this job? And so I needed to do discovery. And fortunately, you all made yourself available to me. And being retired, I had the time to negotiate and figure out a time when we could all get together. And thank you for taking the time to meet with me. In that, I found out that I knew very little. My experience with city government, federal government, state government was with corporations in the technology industry. And I worked for several companies that were acquired and as that goes, and moved around in the Pacific Northwest and ended up managing many sales teams in the western half of the United States, and then for a short stint, as well as the entire lower 48. So I had the experience with governments. I thought I knew enough to go ahead and pursue this, but I didn't know enough about city government and how the council functions and what you're regulated by the state or the federal government, and how the funds actually moved around. So my discovery over the last 3 weeks has been pretty intense. I decided to stay in the race because I feel like I am qualified. Now, I say that humbly because obviously there's a great talent that's applying for this position, but I think I can negotiate and help our government and help our constituents, our citizens, to benefit from the streams of revenue that we deal with in this city, as far as I know, as far as I can tell at this point in time. But it's been a great experience. My wife and I have both, she's probably tired of hearing me talk about it, but it's been really interesting to us. The financial plan, the agenda for the city that was recently updated and approved, all of that is just fascinating. It's a great plan. You obviously are great leaders, and I'm sure that the city is already benefiting from your decisions and your plans. Nell's project is really exactly what we're looking for, because as a family, I've got 13 seconds. As a family, we want our children to move back to where we live, and that is the type of thing that's going to enable them to come to this community. Now, I got to work on business and getting things going. So if you decide to go with me, thanks.
Thank you very much. Our next candidate is Sarah Henry. And feel free to adjust the mic and get close to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Walters and council members, thank you. It's actually a really big pleasure to see some of you I know. I grew up in Anacortes, and my childhood is here. My parents are here. I am one of those that left after high school and just came back actually after 25 years. About a year and a half ago with my 3 kids into Ward 1, in Old Town, which I adore greatly. I spent my career in public service in terms of global development. I have always had a passion for community development and did my specialty around how do you bring communities together, particularly with the focus on global development with women's rights and human rights. I have a huge passion for being a bridge builder. I have very, very strong opinions, but also don't see my role is to make people believe what I believe, but how do you bring communities together? How do you bridge understanding between issues? And I'm really excited about the possibility of doing that here in Anacortes, which is a place that I love. And I feel like there's such incredible opportunities, especially in the current environment, for bridging understanding, because I believe that we all do want the same things. We want safe communities where everybody feels that they can belong, that they can afford. And so that I'm really excited to bring. In my experience, my professional career has been mostly around social entrepreneurship. So I've started I've started 3 or 4 nonprofits. And my last endeavor was building a global center at Stanford University, where I raised and managed both grant and contract funding of around $25 million. So I'm very aware of kind of balancing budgets, particularly around grants and contracts, I think is where my most of my experience has been. And similarly to the last applicant, John, too, have spent some time, and thank you to members that have met with me over the past couple of months and figuring out, is this something that, one, that I could contribute to and be a productive member and add skill set. So I just also want to say thank you. And it led me to really do some deep reflection on what I could bring and what I was excited to bring. And I think what I'm really excited to do is be a part of this community and to contribute, but also be able to learn too, about how to connect these very, very local issues that are very global in scale. And that's what I think from my career, what I'm most proud of is being able to take complex issues, but then also be able to ground them in the realities of what we're doing and to get things done. So I'm excited about the opportunity to meet more of my neighbors since I've been in Ward 1 for about a year and a half, but be able to really listen to what's most important to the community members and bring those to council. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Our next candidate, Marcia Hunt.
Is that about the right height?
Yes, I think so. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, fellow community members. I'm Marcia Hunt. I am offering to serve Anacortes in the Ward 1 City Council position. You've all been provided with our application materials. I'm not going to restate mine here tonight. To focus the task before you now on this pretty full agenda, I'm going to highlight the experience I could bring to the dais that doesn't overlap with others in this fantastically talented pool of applicants. First, I have a granular awareness of the extent of our physical and virtual infrastructure. Beginning in 2002, I worked shoulder to shoulder with city staff in many departments, first as a contractor and then in-house, to build tools to manage all that stuff the city owns. Many of those assets require periodic inspection and maintenance by highly trained and sometimes certified staff. Everything but the land beneath us is going to eventually require upgrade, replacement, or abandonment, and sometimes costly decommissioning. Our assets need to be secured, they need to be insured, and reported to the state auditor every year. We must also prepare to assess and address our critical assets in the case of a natural disaster. Taking care of all those assets is the job of the mayor and his staff, but it's council's job to develop forward-looking policy and annual budgets that sustain the resources we depend on over the long term. That's not as glamorous as building fun new stuff, but we must be wise stewards of the systems and the services underpinning all of our lives every day. Second, I understand the statutory constraints on achieving all that in the public sector in Washington state. Encountering the arcane world of government procurement and accounting when you come from the private sector, as I did and you all have, is an eye-opener. I have the 2026 budget on my desktop, and I have read it all. I know our revenue streams. I know which ones we can directly affect and which we can only encourage to grow, which ones are relatively predictable, and which ones are pretty volatile. Third, I am attuned and committed to the Open Public Meetings Act and the Public Records Act. My compliance with both will never be in question. Finally, I respect the distinct roles of council, mayor, and staff. The AWC Council Member Handbook is also on my desktop. But more tangibly, for 13 years, I had a front row season ticket to watch how our council conducts business on our collective behalf. I stand ready and able to join you in that work if you should so decide. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hunt. Our next candidate, and we may need some assistance at the podium here again, is Courtney Orrock, who will be participating via Zoom. Oh, looks like we are close. Courtney, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me?
Perfect. And we can see you.
Oh, good. Sorry.
And we're 2 for 2.
Wonderful.
Okay. We will start the timer and you can begin when you're ready.
Thank you. Good evening, council members, Mayor Walters, city staff, and residents of Anacortes. My name is Courtney Orrock, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you this evening. I'm here because I care deeply about this community and believe that I can contribute meaningfully during an important moment for our city. As you know, I recently ran for city council. That experience allowed me to engage with residents across the city, listen to a wide range of perspectives, and gain a clearer understanding of the issues before you as a governing body. Throughout the campaign, I spent significant time attending council meetings, reviewing council packets, budget materials, the comprehensive plan, asking questions, and learning where the constraints and trade-offs exist. That process reinforced my belief that good governance requires discipline, collaboration, and a long-term view. We are navigating a challenging financial period, and I am confident I can contribute as the council addresses near-term budget pressures while also making decisions that support long-term stability and success. Because of my skill set, my professional experiences, and my familiarity with current issues and city priorities, I would be able to step into this role and be effective immediately. I understand that this position carries substantial committee responsibilities, including finance, library and museum, public safety, and parks and recreation. I have a background in finance. I have served 5 years as a trustee of the Anacortes Public Library. I've graduated from the Anacortes Police Department Citizens Academy, and I have a daughter who is very active in parks and rec programs. These are areas I have spent considerable time learning about and discussing with residents, and I'm prepared to engage in that work right away, asking informed questions, supporting staff, and helping projects move forward. If appointed, I would bring a collaborative and respectful approach to the council table. I value thoughtful debate, careful listening, and working across differences to serve the entire community. I also understand that consensus is not always possible, and I'm committed to working constructively with council, even when my vote is in the minority. My focus would be on providing consistent, thoughtful leadership, grounded in careful analysis, collaboration, and a clear eye toward the city's long-term needs. Thank you again for your consideration and for your continued service to our city. I'd be honored to contribute my time, energy, and experience to the work ahead. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, Ms. Orrock. Our next candidate is Britta Ryer.
I was hoping you would go alphabetical by first name. Mayor Walters, members of the council, thank you.
Would you get a little bit closer to the mic there?
Yes, how's that?
Oh, that's perfect. Thank you.
My name is Britta Ryer, and I am applying for the Ward 1 seat. I first want to start by saying how amazing it is that 9 people have applied to this for this position. I think it speaks so highly to how vibrant our community is and how civically engaged people are. I feel like I'm walking among giants here. I have to confess that I do not have much experience with city governments. However, I do believe I have a lot of relevant skills that will translate quite well to the work that you all do on the council. I work full-time as a supervising editor for a large educational publisher out of Boston. So I'm able to work remotely from my home in Old Town, where I've lived for nearly 7 years. When people hear that I'm an editor, they typically say something like, oh, I better watch my grammar, or I bet you correct a lot of commas. But what I actually do is solve a lot of complex problems. And the way I go about that is it requires several steps. First, I ask a lot of questions. I get curious, and I make sure that I fully understand the issue in front of me so that I can articulate it to others. Next, I loop in my trusted teammates and cross-team partners to ensure that I'm soliciting various perspectives on the issue, because the more I learn and the more input I get, the better I can apply my skills to the problem. And then we collaborate. I iterate, I brainstorm, and I come up with the best solution to the problem, knowing that the best solution often is not the same thing as the platonic ideal of a solution. Because in publishing, like city work, we are very bound by constraints like time and budget, but we do our best. I think those things could all work really well for work on the council. And as an aside, I do also often correct a lot of commas. I know in the immediate, the city is faced with big issues related to the budget. And in the longer term and ongoing, we'll have issues related to growth and change and what that change looks like. From my reading of the comprehensive plan, I've seen a lot of really forward-looking ideas. And I would love to sit amongst you and help turn problems into solutions. And thank you for considering my application.
Thank you, Ms. Ryer. And finally, our last applicant is Matthew Trunnell. I'll let you correct me.
Which side of the family you are? The Trunnells seem to be the ones with money. I'm a Trunnell. Yeah.
Perfect.
And I've long
thank
been
you, Mr.
alphabetically challenged, so here I am. So.
Thank you. You can begin when you're ready.
Excellent. Thank you, Mayor Walters, members of the council. It's genuinely an honor to be here to introduce myself tonight, particularly among this group of really tremendous applicants. I consider myself a newcomer here. We moved here. We've been here for 3 coastal Christmases, but only 2 shipwrecks. That turns out to be quite enough time to develop an attachment to this community. And I'm here because I would like to contribute to this community. I believe I can. So I have a long background in working with large research institutions, healthcare organizations, other mission-driven groups. Groups like the Fred Hutchison Cancer Research Center in Seattle, where I served as vice president, chief data officer, chief information officer, the Broad Institute of MIT and Harvard, worked with federal health agencies, with disease nonprofits, with biomedical startups. This experience has, I think, really helped me to learn how to work with diverse stakeholders, to align disparate incentives, how to manage priorities with limited resources, how to make decisions for the long term, often at the expense of perhaps short-term convenience. I have a particular interest in working with organizations now, helping to navigate this accelerating pace of change on almost every front. And that includes working with nonprofits to develop new funding models, working with research organizations to develop new models of driving how we're going to fund research. That's changing pretty dramatically. And particular interest in healthcare, where across the country, we're really quite challenged here. We're very fortunate to have a strong healthcare infrastructure that's largely propped up by philanthropy. I think these are really tremendously complex and interesting issues to work on. I have managed multi-million-dollar budgets. I've built and run cross-organization collaborations. I have navigated those governance challenges that require large-scale collaboration, sound judgment, and respect for people and process. I come here without a specific agenda. I've been here long enough to feel attached to the community, but not so long that I am really strongly opinionated as to what has to stay and what can't change. I come to listen, to serve and to represent. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, council, that concludes all of the candidate statements from the candidates that are here. Just one last check. Sharon Brown, not here in the audience. All right, and also not online. Okay. All right, council. First of all, I just want to say as a point of personal privilege, as the person who has created the vacancy in the Ward 1 seat, that I am very pleased and impressed with the caliber of all of the applicants for this position. I am sorry if my presence on the council held any of you back. Council, you approved an outline of this process at our January 5th meeting, but the process is yours to figure out the details, and really all you approved was an outline. So at this point, you have a couple of options. I can walk you through more components of the process. You can go into executive session to evaluate the qualifications of a candidate for appointment to elective office, or you could do something else. Do you have a preference at this point?
Mayor Walters,
Ms. Moulton?
it's been great hearing from everyone. I would move that we go into executive session, and I believe in that session, I'm going to look over at Ms. Swetnam, is a place that we can discuss qualifications of applicants only.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And then come back and discuss the process by which we want to proceed.
Okay. There is a motion to go into executive session. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second to go into executive session. I would ask for an amendment to that motion to specify the time required for that executive session, because we must provide that when we go into executive session.
I would propose 30 minutes.
30 minutes. Okay. So I'll consider that part of the motion unless there's an objection. Hearing none. The motion before us is to go into executive session for 30 minutes pursuant to RCW 4230-1101AH to evaluate the qualifications of a candidate for appointment to elective office. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, I'll take the vote. All those in favor of going into executive session at this time for the reasons stated, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The ayes have it, and the motion is approved. We will be back at 8:03.
Ladies and I'd like to inform you that the city council will remain in executive session for an additional 10 minutes. They will return at approximately 8:13 p.m. Thank you. City Council will continue in executive session for an additional 5 minutes. They are scheduled to return at 8:18 p.m. Thank you.
All right, by my watch, I have 8:18, which is our promised 30 minutes plus 10 minutes plus 5 minutes. So I think we are ready to resume. I want you all to know that council did an excellent job of hewing closely to the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act to evaluate only the qualifications of a candidate. And Darcy, you can return that taser to the police department after the meeting. What we did not discuss and have not discussed in depth yet is process. We expect that you will hear from a select group of candidates in the next round. I think the first question for council is, how many candidates do you want to move into the next round? You can decide to set a target now, or you can simply talk about which candidates you would like to move forward and see where you end up.
Yeah, well,
So the first question is, and I want to constrain you to this question. Do you want to set a target or not set a target at this point?
Mayor Walters?
Mr. Young.
I think it's important to set a target. And the reason why I think that's important is that other than that, we'll still move forward so many wonderful people, because truly it was honestly a very difficult decision because everybody's just really extraordinary.
And we, just to be clear, we did not make any decision at all.
Thank you.
Mayor Walters. Oh,
No, but in that, I would suggest 4, but I'm open.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor Walters.
Mr. Fantini.
I would suggest at least 3, but no more than 4.
Other opinions?
I think
Ms.
3,
Moulton.
sorry, I think 3 would be ideal, but I am not opposed to 4 for a top number.
Mayor
Mr.
Walters.
Clear.
I don't think we can stick to the ideal with this pool of candidates. I'd go 4.
Ms. Kalimerga.
I would say I'm comfortable with 4 if that's where everyone else is at, because we are not able to talk about, how many to move forward until we're at this open session. Giving it thought over the last week and knowing that there's only 5 council members present when it's a full council, there are 7 people. The way my concern is having to vote yes or no on each individual candidate moving forward versus having a slate of candidates. And so my personal preference would be only 3. 4 is reasonable. But if it comes to a point where there's more than 4, I would suggest that every council member is able to nominate 1 person to the slate. I think that allows everyone to get their voice in without having to not vote or without having to kind of have a debate. But that's just, I wanted to put that out there as another option. But I'm also comfortable with 4 if that's where the majority is at.
Okay, you've moved on a little bit beyond the number and also to the process afterwards, and maybe that's required to get to an answer on the number. I would be willing to entertain a motion. It's your meeting. I will entertain any of your motions, but I would suggest a motion if the council desires at this point to set that number, or we can skip that step.
Mayor Walters.
Mr. Fantini.
Just a point of clarification and apologies. I'm trying to use as little words as possible. So when we nominate people to the slate, is that going to require a second and a vote, or are we still to decide that part of the process?
Okay, let's move on to the next item on the list, which is how you will move people forward. You have a lot of options in front of you, but one option could be to nominate people for a slate. In addition to that, you could require a second for those nominations or not. And a entirely second option for how to move people forward is to simply make a motion in favor of moving one person forward. If there's a second, we'll discuss or vote and move that person forward
Mayor-
in the absence of a slate. So there are at least that many options for how to move forward. My goal here is to get you to adopt a process before you start putting names forward.
Mayor Walters.
Mr. Fantini.
I really like, I give a lot of thought process to what council member, sorry, what council member Cleveland McGrath said, where one, we have a strong slate of candidates, but also there's only 5 of us up here. And I was very stuck to the 3 to 4, but I do feel like if each of us could nominate a person to move forward with a second, I feel like that would be a good slate to vote on.
Mayor Walters.
Ms. Moulton.
I think we're getting somewhere. I think, so we have 8.
9. Oh, 8, because
Yeah, so we have 8 applicants. 5 out of 8 seems like a lot to me. And I'm wondering if it's just hard to know like what order we would, if someone picked, if by the time it got to like the 4th or 5th you don't have to nominate someone if the people that you would put forward have already been picked. So it might not be 5 people. It might be 4 people. It might be 3 people. So I would prefer, it seems like we all feel pretty positive about 4. And we could each put someone forward or decline to and hope we end up with 4. Okay.
There's certainly no requirement that all of you try to move somebody forward.
Right.
Ms. Cleveland McGrath.
Yeah, and sorry to go in the weeds. I'm sorry to kind of put a wrinkle in this. I guess my suggesting that everyone, we go down the line and everyone is able to add someone to the slate or pass because they are satisfied with the slate of applicants allows us to not have to debate choosing one candidate over another when we hit that whatever target number. But doesn't necessarily, I guess I'm going to have a lot more questions if we decide to do how are we going to go through that process if we're only going to do 3 candidates? And maybe that's not a problem because we haven't talked about it. I just wanted to preemptively suggest one option, but it might just be too complicated.
I tend to think that going down the row isn't compatible with picking 3.
No.
But you also haven't set 3 as your target yet. Mr. Young.
Mr. Mayor Walters, could I make a motion that we limit it to 4?
You could make that motion.
I'll make a motion that we limit it to 4.
No more than 4.
No more than 4.
Is there a second? Hearing no second, the motion dies for lack of a second.
Mayor Walters.
Mr. Fantini.
We don't do this very often, which I think is why we're struggling to get here. I would make a motion that we go down the dais and are each allowed, should we choose to, or we could decline, nominate someone to the slate that could then be voted upon by everyone. So that could mean we would end up with 2, it could mean 3, it could mean 4, it could mean 5. That's my motion.
Okay, the motion is to adopt a rule for this process whereby every member of council will have an opportunity to nominate 1 person for the slate. The slate would then be voted on to move forward to the next meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second to adopt a rule for this process whereby each council member nominates 1 person for the slate, and then the slate is voted on to move forward or not.
Mayor Walters?
That is the motion. I'll entertain discussion for or against that motion. Mr. Young?
Yes, I just want to be clear that we're going to each individually sort of nominate someone, and could that process begin down at that end?
There is a motion to amend the motion on the floor to begin the process with Mr. Fantini. Is there a second for that amendment?
Second.
No, you made the motion. You can't second your own motion. Is there a second for the motion to begin the process at the east end of the dais? Hearing none,
Second.
there is a second. Okay, all right, the motion on the table is to amend the main motion to start the process previously described at the far end of the dais with Mr. Fantini. Was there discussion on this proposed amendment?
I don't prefer this. Sure.
Is there discussion on the proposed amendment?
Mayor Walters?
Ms. Moulton?
So we're not required to nominate someone?
In the opinion of the chair, that was the proposal.
Okay, we are all required to nominate someone?
No. I'm sorry. You are correct. The proposal was not to require, but to provide the opportunity for each council member to nominate one person.
Okay.
And Mayor Walters?
Mr. Young?
Just for the sake of order, we had a nomination, we had a motion and a second. And that second was by Mr. Fantini, that we start on that end. I think the call for the vote is next, don't you think?
Well, after discussion.
Okay, after discussion. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion on that proposed amendment? Mr. Courier?
Just personal preference. I'd rather start on this end as we had originally intended.
Mayor Walters?
Mr. Fantini?
If someone wants to go first, I think they should be allowed to go first.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, I will call for a vote on this item. Hearing none, the vote is on the motion to amend the main motion to start the process at the far end, the far east end of the dais. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion is approved. The next.
Wait, I didn't vote.
Mayor Walters, point of order.
You had an opportunity to vote.
I know, I apologize, but when you said east, you meant TJ's side, right?
Correct.
Okay, I thought we were going back to, all right.
Mayor Walters, point of order.
Mr. Fantini, state your point.
I think there was a little confusing. Could we do a roll call vote?
We could. Clerk will call the roll. And let me restate the motion. The motion on the table is to amend the underlying main motion to start that process at the east end of the table with Mr. Fantini. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Courier?
No.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Ms. Cleveland McGrath?
No?
Ms. Moulton?
Yes.
Mr. Fantini?
No. No.
The ayes are 2, the noes are 3.
Thank you. So the motion to amend the main motion has failed, and we're back to the main motion, which I will repeat, which is to start at the west end of the dais and ask each council member to offer a name for nomination to the slate. The slate would then be voted on. Oh, and in case it's unclear, no seconds would be required for each nomination.
Mayor Walters.
Mr. Courier.
Second that motion.
It was already seconded, but thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
So we have a motion and a second for that motion. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, we will take a vote on the motion, which is to start at the west end of the dais with Mr. Courier and have each council member nominate a person for the slate. Each council member does not have to nominate a person. No second is required for each nomination.
Mayor Walters,
Mr. Young.
There is a point of discussion. I was stumbling a little bit over it all, but if I could have just a moment. Everybody that applied is extraordinary, truly having enormous strengths, something that our city truly needs to be working. Even if you're not selected for this process, even in moving forward or even later, truly the gift that you're willing to give as a public servant is extraordinary. Do not believe for the one moment that your gift that you're offering the city and the constituents of this city is not valued. It really is. We had a tough looking at the schedules, but I'm just saying to you, there are many of you I could envision for other things that we desperately need. So don't, if you're not selected to move forward, don't think for one moment that you're not needed. You really are. So thank you.
Is there any further discussion on the motion on the table? Okay, the motion on the floor is to start at the west end of the dais, move down the dais. Each council member is allowed to nominate one person. No second is required. Those nominations will go onto a slate. You will then vote on the slate to move forward. Hearing no discussion, we'll take a vote. All those in favor of that main motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. The motion is approved. All right, we have now adopted this rule, so we will start at the west end of the dais. I will ask you, if you please, to nominate one person for the slate. Your response should be in the form of a name with no additional commentary.
Mayor Walters,
Ms. Colleen McGrath.
at what point can we have some commentary?
Right.
Oh, you can have that now.
Okay, thanks.
Yes.
So
Yes, so we'll proceed to that at some point, but we don't have to do it right away.
okay, good, because I do feel like that the public deserves some kind of discussion as to the slate of candidates. So I want to echo what Mr. Young said, that I'll be perfectly honest, we were kind of worried that we may not get some amazing people to show up and actually participate in this process. And the fact that we had 10/11 folks take the time to meet with a number of us, to put their resume and cover letter in, to take the risk of, coming out publicly and doing that is really amazing. And it warms my heart to know that there are this many cool people out here, and you guys are welcome to come to any of these council meetings, even if you're not chosen. But when I'm thinking about the slate of candidates to move forward, I'm really thinking about who do I need to hear more from, because I'm curious about where they're at and what questions I would like to have answered before we make that final decision. So when I'm thinking about the slate, that is really the goal in mind, is to have looked at the qualifications of all of the candidates, and then try to narrow it down so that we have a smaller group that we can get to know and the public can get to know a little bit better at the next council meeting. So that's kind of the intention that I'm working with when we're talking about this next step.
Mayor Walters.
Mr. Courier.
Just an additional comment, because it doesn't sound like I get much time to comment when I put my name forward. Again, a huge thank you to everybody who's applied, and I just echo everything that's already been said. Please get involved, please participate. And it was humbling to read everybody's resumes and their reasons for wanting to do this. And coming recently off the campaign trail, I commend you all for putting yourselves out there. So this is really a difficult discussion for all of us, but thank you.
Any other discussion at this point? You will also have an opportunity for discussion after nominations. Hearing none, I will move us forward to the nominations. If there's no objection. Okay, hearing none, we will now start with nominations. So each council member, starting from the west end of the dais, will provide one name, up to one name. You are not obligated to provide any name.
Up to one.
You may pass. So, Mr. Courier, who would you like to move forward?
Mayor Walters, is it just a name and no commentary at this point? Can I add a couple words?
Yeah, I mean, my suggestion was that, but I don't think that it was actually included in the motion, so.
Okay. I want to put forward, I nominate Courtney Orick, and the reason for that, I just want to say, is having run a campaign and seen her out there grinding it out for 6 months, I do feel like that deserves further attention, and that's what I put forward.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Young.
I'm terribly torn. I would be very honest with you. There are a number of people that I think are extraordinary. And, but if I am required only to put forward one name, at this point, I think I would put forward, Sarah Henry.
Thank you. Ms. Cleveland McGrath.
I was not expecting to have to speak on this. We got a number of really great candidates. I would do Susanna Clements.
Thank you. Ms. Moulton.
So I don't really have a lot to say at this moment. Like has been, yeah, a lot has been said already. I am basing my nomination on the demonstrated depth and breadth of knowledge and of very many things, and looking forward to hearing more in the next round. And I nominate Marcia Hunt.
Thank you. Mr. Fantini.
I nominate John Gasser.
Thank you. All right. The slate, as council has articulated, includes Courtney Orick, Sarah Henry, Susanna Clements, Marcia Hunt, and John Gasser. Council, now you may discuss the slate. You may move to amend the slate. However, that would be contrary to your prior rule. And you may decide at some point to take a vote on moving the slate forward.
Mayor Walters.
Mr. Fantini.
I move that we move the slate forward.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to take the slate as articulated, including Courtney Orick, Sarah Henry, Susanna Clements, Marcia Hunt, and John Gasser into the next meeting. I assume we will also have some discussion about what exactly we'll be asking of these people in the next meeting. But at this point, if you are ready to take a vote, we can take a vote. If you have discussion on this motion, now would be the appropriate time. The motion is to move this slate forward. Hearing no discussion, we'll go ahead and take the vote. All those in favor of moving the slate as previously articulated forward, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The ayes have it, and that is the slate for next week's meeting. All right. Now, council, there are a number of things that you need to decide about what the shape of next week's meeting consists of. We have previously indicated that we would ask them to provide additional statements. So a time limit for that statement would be useful to have. Any questions that you would like those people to answer in that statement would be useful to convey to them at this point. And any other process that you want to articulate with respect to follow-up questions after those presentations. Council, do you have discussion on those topics or motions?
Mayor Walters.
Mr. Fantini.
Yes, so I've kind of thought about this a lot, as I'm sure all of us have, since it's been in the packet for a week. I think allowing a second statement is really good. I think it would be helpful if we provided some baseline questions, whether it's that we all send our questions to you and you kind of put them together so that in their statement they can respond to those questions. But I also feel it is, I also feel there is use in having on the fly questions. So I would suggest that we provide questions for a statement, and then after each statement, allow each council member one follow-up question if they should choose to use it for a candidate, for each candidate. And hopefully there won't be much on the agenda. But
No promises on that.
Mayor Walters?
Ms. Moulton.
So question, so we have 5 people moving forward. And then we'll have 6, presumably we'll have 6 council members, so that would be 30, potentially 30 questions. Is that what you're thinking?
Mr. Fantini.
boy, when you put the numbers like that, that's an awful lot. Yeah, that's rough.
And also my follow-up question.
Ms. Moulton.
Oh, sorry. My follow-up question to that would be, do we let everyone speak first? And then we ask, would we want the questions to be the same, the follow-up questions to be the same for each person? Or would it depend on what like this could get, this is a tricky calculus.
Mayor Walters.
Mr. Fantini.
Gave it a lot of thought, clearly not enough. I think I still like the first part of we provide questions for them all to give an answer to, but maybe we come up with 3 additional questions as a group or 2 or whatever it is that we all agree on that are, I hesitate to use the word surprise questions, but are questions that they would answer on the fly. So maybe we don't all get a question, but it would be nice to have some agreed follow-up. I don't know. It's kind of messy, I guess, but.
Council, do others have other ideas? If so, and you want to articulate them at this point, I can try to synthesize them.
Mayor Walters?
Ms. Moulton.
I like the idea of council submitting questions in advance that would be published in the packet. And maybe we each submit 1 or 2 questions in writing, and those get asked, those are given to all the candidates and that they can address in their talk of, say, 5 minutes is one idea. And then I'm not sure about after that.
Mayor Walters.
Mr. Courier.
Yeah, just kind of following up with where we're going. What if each council member submitted 1 question? We had 1 question on the fly, and those were just answered and submitted prior to the meeting, and then just separate from the statement. So not to answer, they answer the question up front, and everybody would have the same questions statement made, and then we'd have a follow-up opportunity to give a follow-up question, just to try to simplify it.
Mayor Walters.
Mr. Young.
As many of you have heard me say probably more times than sometimes you may want to hear, it is so important that as public servants, and I do mean that literally, public servants, that we're really working hard to make sure all thoughts, ideas are at the table, and based upon that, making that decision. So for the people moving forward, or even those that are not moving forward, engaging and showing how you can bring to the table that energy and that positivity about working and making sure everyone is heard makes for a community. It celebrates differences, but at the end of the day, we have to make a decision that may not make everybody happy, but if all of the data is put on the table, all of the emotions and all of the people going forward as a community, it's a positive thing. So that's really what I'm looking for. You would not, all of those people that applied, I felt were eminently qualified. I was just happy, truly happy. But in moving forward now, we're going to need you and every one of you to help us realize what we need here as our city. So even if you're not sitting on the dais when this is all over said and done, we need you. We need you. And so I'll be looking for that sense of community, that sense of bridging the gaps, that sense of pieces that may not have been at the table that we're willing to bring. I brought me, coming from the South, I brought me. But, again, I'm educated, but also I've experienced a lot of stuff. So I'm one of 7. But if I didn't bring that to the table, we got a soup that we're making. So anyway, thank you.
Council, I think Ms. Colleen McGrath, are you interested?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I think we've got to do it for the reason of time. I think that we should all just submit one question to you. If there are redundant, if there are two questions that are similar, come back to one of us and see if we can think of a new question. Publish those questions in the packet. I think it's reasonable to give these 5 folks the opportunity to prepare a statement and then give them, and then they would have, I don't know, 10 minutes to answer those questions in a way that they think is appropriate. I mean, they're serving the community. They're going to have to figure out how to speak to the public, and they're going to have to organize their own thoughts. And we can take it with it as we will. Follow-up sounds great, and maybe we can, but I would almost do more of a limit of 3 minutes or something such as that for back and forth. And have it be organic versus trying to make sure everyone gets a question in. I assume we're probably going to have a similar follow-up question.
Okay, council, let me synthesize what I've heard here. First of all, we will ask candidates to provide follow-up statements at the next meeting. The length of the statement may vary from 5 to 10 minutes. I've heard both, so we'll need to come to a conclusion on that. The statements we will ask the candidates to include in the statements their answers to questions that council members will submit to me, and I'll synthesize and will go in the packet. Each council member should submit 1 question. I also heard 2 questions. And you would need to do that by the end of the day tomorrow, I think. Candidates would then give their statement, and there would either be the opportunity for 1 follow-up from each council member, and I would propose that that happen after all of the statements are concluded. So all 5 candidates are sitting next to each other, and you'd ask that question of each of them, and then we'd rotate through. Or 3 minutes for each council member, assumedly across all 5 of the candidates, because in the alternative, that would start to get pretty lengthy. So that's what I've got synthesized here. Do you want to alter that in some way?
Mayor Walters?
Mr. Fantini?
I would suggest, I like the time limit rule, but I would suggest maybe 5 minutes.
Which
for
time
each of
limit?
us. The follow-up question. I also think 10 minutes is a really long time for an opening statement. So I think if we're basically submitting 6 questions, 1 minute to answer each of those questions seems appropriate. So maybe a 6-minute opening statement and then a 5-minute follow-up from each council member across the candidates, not 5 minutes for each candidate, but 5 minutes for each council member across the candidates.
I would like to introduce the question of how I am to manage the 5 minutes, because assumedly you are going to spend some time asking the question, and then how much time are you going to give the candidates, each of them, to respond? It becomes, again, unwieldy pretty quickly.
Mayor Walters?
Ms. Moulton?
So if each council member had 5 minutes total, so maybe 1 minute per candidate per council member?
Mayor Walters.
Mr. Fantini? Mike?
Thank you. I think it's could it be appropriate to use our 5 minutes like however? So for example, there may be some candidates that we know more about than the others where maybe we need, 2 minutes to get to know this person a little bit better or ask a couple more follow-up questions versus I don't think asking follow-up should necessarily determine whether or not we think they're a good candidate. It's more like 5 minutes for each of us, wherever you want to spend that time.
Mr. Courier?
Yeah, I'm in favor of a 5-minute statement, 5-minute follow-up per council member to be used anyway. Yeah.
Ms. Killian McGrath?
Seems like we're getting in the weeds here. I think we just need the 6 questions from all 6 council members. Allow them to have 5 minutes or whatever, 6 minutes, and then just have them prepared after everyone has their 6-minute statement. We may come back and specifically ask a question of a specific candidate and leave it at that.
I agree with that. Mayor Walters.
Mr. Pantini.
This is hard to do. I would agree with that. I think we should put a time limit on the follow-up. Not that you have to use the time, but like I could imagine someone like myself could ask a lot of follow-up questions. So.
Okay, let's narrow this down a little bit. So we're going to ask for some follow-up statements. The length of the statement is going to be 5 minutes. If there's no objection, that will be the rule. Hearing none, the candidate statement length will be 5 minutes. Each council member will submit 1 question to me by the end of the day tomorrow, and we will synthesize those and publish those questions in the packet for the candidate to answer however they would like during their time. If there's no objection to that, that'll be part of the rule. Okay, so what's remaining here is how we will handle questions from the bench. And so I would ask someone to make a motion as to what exactly they would like the rule to be there.
Mayor Walters.
Mr. Pantini.
3 minutes for each council member if they want it.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to establish a rule whereby each council member will have 3 minutes to ask follow-up questions of all 5 of the candidates, not individually, but as a group, however they would like to use it. Any discussion of that? All right, hearing none, we'll take the vote on that motion. All those in favor of establishing a rule whereby each council member has 3 minutes to ask the 5 candidates as a group, whichever questions they want. So not 5 per candidate, or not 3 per candidate, but 3 per council member for all 5 candidates. All those in favor of that say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no.
No.
The ayes have it, and that rule is approved. All right, council, is there anything else that you would like to articulate as the way we will manage this next week?
I know it passed, but I just have a question. So you have 3 minutes as a council member, but that includes the time that the candidates respond?
I think it does.
Okay, so say I took 20 seconds to ask a question, then a candidate took 2 minutes, then just the candidate. It depends on how, it just seems weird to me.
Are you moving to propose additional time for candidates to respond?
No, I don't have a better idea, but I don't have a better idea, but I'm not super psyched about this.
Any other amendments to the process at this point?
Mayor Walters.
Mr. Fantini?
I'm also not super psyched about this. Even though I just threw it out there. I wonder if we don't return to Council Member Cleland McGrath's statement and trust your judgment as the chair for allowing follow-up questions.
I would note that council has the ability to rescind one of these rules by majority vote in the future or now.
I move we rescind the 3-minute rule.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to reconsider the motion that was just made to set a 3-minute rule for follow-up questions. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The ayes have it, and I'm deleting that from the list.
Mayor Walters.
Mr. Fantini.
I motion that we allow for follow-up questions at the discretion of the chair.
There's a motion to allow follow-up questions from council members at the discretion of the chair. Is there a second? Hearing none, that motion fails. What? Is there a second?
Yeah, I was gonna second it.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
So there's a motion and a second to allow follow-up questions at the discretion of the chair from council members for the candidates.
May I say something now?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good. So I would, the only clarification that I would say, which is why I paused, is I think those questions should happen after everyone has made their statement. And I don't know if that needs to be an amendment.
I will amend
to the-
my motion. Mayor Walters,
Mr. Fantini.
I will amend my motion.
You are not allowed to amend your motion. You may propose an amendment to the motion.
I propose that we amend the motion to allow those questions at the discretion of the chair after after every candidate has given their statement.
There's a motion to amend the underlying motion to allow those questions from council members only after all candidates have spoken. If there's no objection to that, we will make that part of the main motion. All right. So the main motion is to allow, at the discretion of the chair, questions for the candidates after all candidates have spoken. Any discussion? All right, we'll take a vote on that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The ayes have it, and that part of that motion is approved. So questions will be allowed at the discretion of the chair from council members after all candidates have spoken. Council, is there anything else you would like to set up for next week's meeting? Hearing none.
Walters?
Ms. Cleveland McGrath.
I just, well, I want to say, I think we might be self-selecting out some of these folks if they're not having a great time right now, because welcome to city government. One thing I just wanted to make a note of for the public is I've received emails kind of directly from various people, either supporting a certain candidate or whatnot. Those coming directly to individually to all of us are not going in the packet. If there is a letter of support, email of support, please send it to Greg. If the desire is to have it in the packet for the public to see. I think that's, do you have anything you want to say about that?
Excuse me, I'd recommend to cityclerk@anacorteswa.gov. That would be the correct email address.
And that information is on the public comment page on the website. All right, thank you, council. I have already asked for a Robert's Rules training to be scheduled for anybody that is in the audience and needs a refresher. I think that we are done with that now. Yes? All right. Reminder that next week's meeting is on Tuesday. So please do not show up on Monday. We're now going to move on to our next item, if he's still with us, which is the confirmation of our Public Works Director. And our HR Director will introduce this item. Ms. Moyle, please.
Mayor, council, members of the audience, I'd like to announce the appointment of Logan Lee as the city's permanent director of public works. Logan is a municipal-focused civil engineer with more than 10 years of experience delivering transportation, utility, and public infrastructure projects for cities and private clients. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering from Washington State University. Logan has served as the city engineer for the past 2 years with the city of Anacortes, and most recently has been serving as our interim public works director. During that time, he has received strong endorsements from his staff and fellow department heads. The position was advertised externally, and Mayor Pro Tem Cleveland McGrath participated in the initial application review. We interviewed 4 candidates in total, and at the conclusion of the process, it was clear that Logan was well suited for the role. With that, it is my recommendation that the City Council move to approve Mayor Ryan Walters' confirmation of Logan Lee as the city's Public Works Director effective today, February 9th, 2026, as well as authorize the mayor to sign the contract 26085 HRD 001 to employ the services of Logan Lee. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moyle. Council, do you have any questions of our applicant? He would appreciate it if you did not.
Mayor Walters.
Ms. Moulton.
I don't have a question. I just want to say that I had the pleasure of working with Mr. Lee over the past 2 years as myself as a member of the Council Public Works Committee. He's very knowledgeable, a really good communicator, very solid, very thoughtful, very much appreciated by fellow staff members in his own department and citywide. And I'm very, very pleased to have the opportunity to have him lead us from being the interim to being the full-on Public Works Director. Other people might have things to say, and I think they do, so I'll stop now. I think maybe okay, well, anyway, I'm just wholeheartedly endorse this appointment and move to approve Mayor Ryan Walters' confirmation of Logan Lee as the city's Public Works Director effective today, February 9th, 2026.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to confirm Logan Lee as Public Works Director. Any other comments, discussion, questions? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Sounds like the ayes have it. Congratulations, Mr. Lee.
Just wanted to add, thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to continuing to serve the city of Anacortes. So, thanks.
Thank you. Now, council, the next item is that contract award. This is an employment agreement, which is standard across all the department heads, but we need your authorization to enter into it. Do you wish to make a motion to approve the contract?
Mayor Walters,
Mr. Fantini.
I move that the city council approve the
Employment agreement.
Thank you. The employment agreement. Thank you.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to authorize to approve the memorandum of agreement as the employment of the Public Works Director. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The ayes have it and the contract is approved. Ms. Moyle, would you like to introduce the next item?
Thank you. Next item, I'm here tonight to introduce Resolution 3208, which ratifies the department heads' employment agreements that were included in your agenda packets. These agreements have not previously come before council, so we're bringing them forward for consideration this evening. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have and would ask for council's approval of Resolution 3208. Thank you.
Council, any discussion or questions?
Mayor Walters,
Mr. Fantini?
I move approval of resolution number 3208.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve resolution 3208. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. The vote is on resolution 3208. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The ayes have it and resolution 3208 is approved. All right, at this time, we are going to go into closed session for collective bargaining per RCW 4230-1404B. We expect to be out for 15 minutes and then we'll be back.
I'll be back in 10 minutes just for another thing.
Council will continue in closed session for an additional 10 minutes and will return at 9:30 PM. Thank you.
All right, we have come out of closed session. We have taken no final action, and we are now resuming our agenda with item 10, which is Resolution 3204, ratifying an agreement with IAFF Local Number 1537. Ms. Moyle, I'll let you present the item.
Thank you. Mayor, council, members of the audience. Now I'm presenting on our ongoing collective bargaining, specifically our negotiations with the International Association of Firefighters, Local Number 1537. This city works with 3 bargaining units and maintains 4 collective bargaining agreements that cover most of our employees. Through the collective bargaining process, we collaborate with each unit on mandatory topics such as wages, hours, and working conditions, along with additional permissive or non-mandatory subjects such as staffing levels, employer-provided amenities, or determinations of qualifications for promotion as examples. Each of our contracts operates on its own cycle. The Commission Police Guild contract is still in negotiations, while the Non-Commissioned Police Guild finalized their agreement at the end of 2024. We recently finalized the contract with Teamsters at the end of December 2025. The city negotiated a collective bargaining agreement with the International Association of Firefighters, representing 37 employees, including 4 vacancies that we are currently recruiting for. Bargaining began in October 2025 and concluded after 6 negotiation sessions. The bargaining committees reached a tentative agreement on January 15, 2026, which was later unanimously approved by the IAFF membership on January 28, 2026. The agreement was negotiated in good faith by both the city and the union, and consistent with collective bargaining requirements, must be adopted as presented and is not subject to amendment or public comment. The key economic items include wage adjustments. I'll do that. The addition of a 2% senior paramedic premium, increased longevity premiums based on months of service, the addition of specialty premiums, an increase in sick leave cash out upon retirement, an increase of 96 hours each of sick leave and vacation for lateral hires effective January 1, 2021, and for all future lateral hires, and an increase in minimum daily staffing to 9. The cumulative cost of the 3-year agreement is approximately $1.5 million. To move forward, city staff recommends that the Anacortes City Council adopt Resolution 3204, authorizing execution of the collective bargaining agreement between the City of Anacortes and IAFF Local Number 1537 for the period of January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2028. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Council. Any questions, discussion, motion? Emotions?
Mayor Walters.
Mr. Courier.
Move that the city council adopt resolution 3204, authorizing the signature and execution of a collective bargaining agreement between the city of Anacortes and IAFF local number 1537 from January 1st to 2026 to December 31st, 2028.
Second.
There is a motion and a second to approve resolution 3204 as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote on resolution 3204 as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The ayes have it and the motion is approved. City really appreciates the work of the fire department and the participation of the fire union in negotiating this contract. Thank you, Ms. Moyle, for your work. We're adjourned.